Welcome to Wisconsin in Focus. I'm Benjamin Yount, the Wisconsin correspondent. Usually I'd be joined by Dan McCaleb, but he's enjoying this last day of August off. I don't blame him. Maybe he's getting an early start on his Labor Day weekend. I'm sure he'll be back next week. Baseball is one of my favorite things. I would watch Little League Baseball in person if they sold hot dogs and beer. I love the game, and I am an unabashed fan of my now hometown Milwaukee Brewers. My desk right next to me has probably 25 to 30 bobbleheads. I'm a sucker for them. That's the full disclosure as we talk about the latest plan to pay for the Brewers' Ballpark American Family Field. If you've been joining us here on Wisconsin in Focus over the past several months, you know that the Milwaukee Brewers say that the Stadium District, which is the landlord, essentially, the public landlord for American Family Field, is running out of money. The Brewers say they need about $400 million for renovations and upgrades and just general upkeep. Again, the collapsible or the roof that opens and closes, while it's a wonderful thing to have in the early spring and the late fall, you don't get rained out, you never get snowed on, it is expensive to maintain. There has been a back and forth as to whether public money should be used to pay for this stadium. There is a public ownership component that maybe doesn't exist in some other communities, but there are an awful lot of people in Wisconsin who don't like the idea of taxpayers paying for a billionaire's playground for millionaire baseball players. There's been back and forth. Milwaukee County and City of Milwaukee leaders are insistent that they won't spend a single dime to help the Milwaukee Brewers and help keep American Family Field open. We got a new update in the ongoing saga this week when the top Republican in the state Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, unveiled a new plan. As we wrote it at the Center Square, there will still be tax dollars going to the Brewers ballpark, but they won't be tax dollars coming from you or me. Here's the speaker from an appearance on a Milwaukee radio station earlier in the week.
The idea that Tony Evers wanted was to just take part of the surplus and hand him a check and say, please stay. That is not a viable option. That's dead. But what we are looking at is saying that just like we did for the Bucks in the Fiserv Forum, if the Brewers leave, all of the income taxes that a player pays when they play in Wisconsin. Remember, if a player comes one time to Wisconsin, they file a Wisconsin income tax return. So every single player who visits pays Wisconsin income taxes. If the Brewers leave, every dollar of that income tax would never be here. So we're focusing on using a sizable chunk of the income taxes that players pay, nothing that you and I pay, and using that to help keep the team here. I think we're generating toward a consensus, and the hope is that right after Labor Day, we'll be able to announce what our plan is and hopefully gauge public opinion to say, let's keep the Brewers here in a way that's fiscally responsible, that doesn't tax a single person in Wisconsin other than those who are already playing baseball.
Now, Vos is not saying just how much money is going to come from these ball players, how much money is specifically going to be earmarked for American Family Field. He said 50, 60, 70% of the cost. That was more of a general line as opposed to some sort of specific cost estimate. There will be a Milwaukee County buy-in. There will be a City of Milwaukee buy-in, Vos said. He said that the people who are going to most directly benefit from a continuation of American Family Field, that would be the City and County of Milwaukee, are going to have to pay their fair share. He did let on one more detail, and that is the money will not come from Milwaukee or Milwaukee County's new sales tax. Vos says that money is earmarked for public safety, for roads. He said that by allowing Milwaukee and Milwaukee County to institute that new sales tax, though, the city and county now have hundreds of millions of dollars in free money going forward over the next 2 decades. That's money that would have gone towards pensions, but now the state's going to pick that up. So there is money in the pipeline, and the city's mayor and the county executive have been mostly on board with the Brewer Ballpark plan. Just of note, the Brewers owner earlier in the week said that they're in the 6th inning, to borrow the baseball term, in the talks over stadium funding, and he's hopeful that a deal will come. Mark Atanasios, the Brewers owner, said didn't want to become the Oakland A's, soon to be the Las Vegas A's. We'll get more on this, hopefully, as the Brewers go into the postseason. Go, Brewers, go, and let's hope for some Cub losses. You can, of course, keep up with this story and all of the others over at thecentersquare.com. Thank you so very much. I am Benjamin Yount. Please subscribe, and thanks for listening.